Uncle Dan.
Yes, sir. Hello.
Do you ever feel like you shouldn't contribute anything to anything?
Always.
And
it's why I'm the weakest link of this show consistently.
Well, outside the show, I just wonder. I wonder if that attitude splashes over to the rest of your life.
Notice, Mark, neither of us corrected Dan when he said that.
Without me, you're nothing. I'm the only one who knows how to operate all of the equipment.
Exactly. He's got all the microphones. It's like the kid with the pool. You have to be his friend because you swim at his house.
Let me tell you. Here's the thing. I don't need any of you people. You people are all just nonsense to me, and I don't need any of you.
Right,
and that's how I feel.
And I feel like you probably shouldn't think any more about that position and just go with it.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
I don't know, Doug. Where do you come in on this?
Uncle Dan, I have the philosophy for you.
Perfect.
It's hard to say.
Philosophy for Lou.
Dear uncles, I have been dreading this day. My only consolation is that in 30 or so minutes, this nightmare will be in my rear view mirror rather than staring at me in the face like a misaligned 19th century hood ornament.
I'm going to point out, dear listeners, that Doug chose this for his damn self.
I did.
None of us put this in front of him.
It's true. I have pushed off this subject because I didn't want to talk about it because it sucks.
Okay.
But today I have decided that like any English major forced to read her books, I just want to check it off my list. Right. Today we're talking about Ayn Rand.
Ooh.
Ayn Rand.
I had a libertarian chill run down my spine.
Yes.
You may well ask, why is an atheist-themed podcast covering a very pro-choice, militantly atheist, mostly disreputable wannabe philosopher? Well, it turns out that Rand actually checks a couple boxes for our show. Her present-day followers would qualify as a cult under almost any definition. And
I think that's fair.
She is most definitely a woo to watch out for.
Yeah.
Right.
And on top of that, a lot of the cruelty we see in our current political environment can be laid at the feet of Madame Rand.
Right.
And we're at just
and that she has been taken up, this atheist pro-choice person has been taken up by the radical religious right in this country as well.
It's
so
amazing. It's kind of shocking how much they venerate this person, considering all of the things that
she hated them.
Yeah.
Considering how much she would hate them. Exactly. Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. But they love Jesus. They love Jesus too. So there's no explaining taste.
Square that circle. Were it just that, we could have had a lighthearted romp through her prolific work and unlikely life. But what makes Rand not just silly but dangerous is that the membership in the aforementioned cult consists of some of the most powerful people in this country, counting among their ranks senators, Supreme Court justices, and even presidents.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Not
our current president. He doesn't know how to read.
Exactly. Her work is made up of Trump's kryptonite, the written word. So let's get this over with. Now, Rand lived quite a life. Truly, she did. So I thought we could kind of work our way through her life and works to the present day, and then we can, do the biographical stuff, and then we can discuss her impact and role in modern American life.
You guys can handle this without me, right? I'm just gonna.
As a counter proposal, can we just have a whole segment about why the name Ayn is a thing?
Oh, we will get to that.
Oh, really?
All right.
Okay.
And then I would recommend listeners, if you're not interested, just turn off the podcast at this point. It's gonna be dreadful for a while.
Just unsubscribe.
No, I feel like we're bad at this. I feel like maybe this is not how to do a show.
Just pick subjects that are just impenetrably terrible.
Why did we pick these subjects this show?
It's fine. Just don't say run away now. Just maybe say this is going to be a lot of fun and everybody's going to have a happy time.
Can't tell a lie.
But that's a lie.
Yeah.
All right.
We talk about lies constantly. Why can't we engage in them every now and then?
That's a good point.
So, a fine point. It's going to be great, guys.
This is going to be fun. Here we go. Ayn Rand was born Alisa Zenovyevna Rosenbaum in St. Petersburg, Russia, in 1905, to a Jewish bourgeois family.
I was going to say, it's a little Jewy.
Little Jewy.
Yeah.
At a time when that particular combination of characteristics was about to have some really bad decades.
Yeah.
She apparently started writing...
After all their amazing decades prior to that in Russia.
Exactly.
Yes.
It was a bit of a comeuppance, for sure. She apparently started writing novels and screenplays at the age of 8. She was good friends with Vladimir Nabokov's younger sister, and spent a lot of time in that household. So would starting to hone her writing skills at such a young age and hanging out with one of the 20th century's greatest writers help improve Rand's writing later in life? The answer is no. At 12, her family...
It's not chicken pox. It doesn't spread like that.
It does not. It is not contagious.
Yeah.
At 12, her family fled to Crimea after the Bolshevik Revolution, where Rand would finish high school. It was there she realized she was an atheist and that reason was the greatest of all virtues. It's nice to know that Rand herself must have been just as insufferable in high school as any present-day high schooler who reads her books.
Right, yeah. Although I got to say, it's just a really good reminder that people like us, like sharing our belief system doesn't make you a cool, good person.
Right, exactly.
Right.
As I am constantly reminded of when I go to YouTube or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Her family returned to St. Petersburg, now Petrograd, when she was 16, where life was not what they remembered. And according to her, they nearly starved on several occasions. However, on the upside, women were allowed to attend university under the Soviets, so she got a degree in history and learned to read English, French, German, as well as Russian.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Right? Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
It was there she was exposed to the teachings of Aristotle, Plato, Nietzsche, Dostoevsky, Hugo, Rostand, and Schiller, who she claimed as major influences in her work. So would studying history's greatest philosophers, often in their own native tongues, help her to create a coherent, viable philosophical edifice? The answer is no. Okay, so it was at this time that she came to America and changed her name to Ayn Rand for reasons that are not officially explained, but it was possible that she was trying to protect her family back in Russia because she was to become a pretty prominent Soviet critique of the Soviet regime. However, I believe it was an anagram for Ayn Rand, a term to describe the type of person that would eventually read her books. Also, I assume because the anagram for Alyssa Zenovyevna Rosenbaum is Amazonian baloney survives. And what are you going to do with that?
Right.
Here in America...
Pretty clear. It's pretty clear.
That's right.
Yeah.
Here in America, Rand tried to break into the movie business through acting, writing, and even costuming. Although she had some minor success as an extra and got 2 plays produced on Broadway, one even making it to the silver screen.
Like you said, she had more success as an extra.
She did. She was an extra in King of Kings by Cecil B. DeMille.
Oh, really?
But wait, what was her play that was on Broadway that got a movie?
It was called, you're going to put me on the spot. It's called like the 16th of September. It was kind of interesting. It was,
the play was... remember?
Yeah.
The play called the 16th of September.
Is that Phil Collins?
No, fuck off with that.
The play was kind of cool. They would select the jury from the audience, and then depending on how the jury passed verdict, they would have one of 2 endings they would perform.
Oh, I like that idea.
Yeah, it's not a terrible
that's kind of
idea.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
God damn it.
But it turned out her dreams of Hollywood fame would be fleeting, and luckily, history is free of examples of failed European artists going on to do bad things.
Right, yeah.
Right.
So Rand turned her considerable lack of talent to fiction with her first novel, We the Living, a semi-autobiographical book set in Bolshevik Russia. I only mention it because it was initially unsuccessful, but after the success of her next 2 books, We the Living was brought back to print, eventually selling over 3 million copies.
Wow.
Yeah. Her next 2 novels were, of course, The Fountainhead in 1943, followed by the much longer and colossally stupid Atlas Shrugged in 1957. And by applying my trademarked Doug's first rule of the Bible, longer is by definition worse.
Also, I'm just going to point out, listeners, that I know what you know, which is that Doug just doesn't understand those books, because if he understood them, he'd think they were the most brilliant books that have ever been written. So I get it, you guys. I get it.
Did you read between the lines, Doug? Did you do that?
So does it seem like 14 years is a long span of time between her 2 most famous works? Yes. After all, the entire career of the Beatles was less than 10 years, and it was only 4 years between post-grunge Christian power group Creed's first album, My Own Prison, and their third and final album, Weathered. And before anyone asks me, I am very well aware that Creed reunited in 2009 to release Full Circle, but Creed without bassist Brian Marshall is not the real Creed I spent 2 minutes researching yesterday.
I started to hate you. What's happening?
Dan, I love you with arms wide open.
Oh God. Okay, I've got to go take a shower. You guys continue.
So, but Rand was busy in those 14 years, as we'll talk about in a second. So let's first talk about the book that catapulted Rand out of obscurity and into every white male freshman's dorm room, The Fountainhead. Clocking in at a lean 753 pages, it is primarily the story of architect Howard Rourke, apparently based loosely on Frank Lloyd Wright, and his lifelong journey to not change at all as he overcame his rivals and went on to marry his twice-divorced rape victim. That's right, rape victim.
Okay. So Frank Lloyd wrong.
Yeah, no, exactly. The main character of this book rapes the other main character of this book early on. So there's that.
Sweet.
It culminates in Rourke on trial for having dynamited his own building project because of changes that were forced on it, giving such a stirring monologue on ego and the human spirit that the jury finds him not guilty. It is long, arduous, one-dimensional, long on monologue and short on substance. And I will admit, I didn't hate reading it. I would never recommend it, and I would never read it again. But I think just the sense of accomplishment of having gotten through it made me happy. Like watching every season of Doctor Who or winning the Whack-A-Mole World Championship with nothing but my forehead.
Yeah, I read Infinite. At some point, reading Infinite Jest, I was like, "You're not going to beat me, motherfucker!
Exactly.
I'm going to finish you, you fucking son of a bitch."
Due to its plotting plot, long, unbroken monologues, and unsympathetic characters, it was only adapted once for film in 1949, with Gary Cooper and Patricia Neal, of all people, in the leads. It flopped hard and was widely panned by critics. In the years since, though, many directors have expressed interest in giving it another go, among them Oliver Stone and Zack Snyder. So, go for it, fucking Zack Snyder.
Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
Could that be more perfect?
Yeah, exactly, because what a 753-page book needs is lots of slow motion.
Right, and also what a book by an atheist author needs is everything to be Christian somehow.
Right,
do it.
Do it. Why not?
So let's talk about the 14 years in between the two books for a second. With the successive Fountainhead, Rand gathered around her a group of her most influential admirers, among them one Alan Greenspan, who would go on to be the second longest-serving Fed chair in American history.
Jesus Christ.
This group referred to itself ironically as the Collective, and soon turned into kind of a sex cult, with couples swapping partners and everyone dressing like Rand, who, if you have not seen photos of her, looks like Tilda Swinton after a 6-month coke binge in the dark, and got her wardrobe exclusively from the Nosferatu Spring Collection of 1947.
It's a severe look. You've got to really commit to the bit if you're going to dress like Ayn Rand.
She has one of those faces where when she smiles, you feel like she's casting a spell on you.
Totally.
When she smiles, you feel like something has gone horribly wrong.
Yeah,
but her eyes are still fully dead when she smiles.
Yeah, just you don't want her exhaling on a button from your coat.
Don't know what that means, but I really like it. Please don't explain. I just like it.
Okay. Sure.
Somebody out there's laughing.
Not us.
This brings us inevitably and unfortunately to Atlas Shrugged. If brevity is the soul of wit, this 1,168-page instruction manual on selfishness is the soul of twit.
Oh my God!
This was meant
1,100 pages.
1,168 pages. It was meant to lay out.
She couldn't make it to 12.
Yeah, right. Ran out of paper.
The government took the last pages.
It was kind of meant to lay out her political philosophy in painful detail, which she called objectivism, and which I'll call stupid. More on that later. The plot of Atlas Shrugged revolves primarily around Dagny Taggart, a railroad baroness, and Hank Reardon, a steel magnate, and their struggle to seem like actual people. It's set in
their struggle to exist in 3 dimensions.
Exactly. It's set in the United States on the brink of economic collapse, mostly due to an activist federal government choking business with unnecessary regulations. Oop, sorry. That sound you just heard was Paul Ryan's erection slapping the underside of his desk. The regulations are so stifling that business leaders, led by the mysterious John Galt, start disappearing all over the country, leaving their entire industries to collapse under the leadership of lesser men. This is the origin of the world's dumbest question, who is John Galt? Dagny manages to track down the striking magnates in their secluded mountain hideaway, imaginatively called Galt's Gulch. Now, dear uncles, there have been many stupid plot devices in popular culture. Verbal Kint was Kaiser Sose, Bruce Willis was dead all the time, Jared Kushner is qualified. But none of them can touch the towering stupidity of Galt's Gulch.
No.
Yeah, apparently these titans of industry are boycotting a world that's not sufficiently obsequious to their genius, so they set up a mountain town that they run themselves. Meaning, like, plumbing and electricity and
garbage collection, sewage.
Can they
food
please do
supply.
that? Can this really happen in real life, please?
It's happened. There have been a couple tries that have ended in absolute fucking Lord of the Flies catastrophes and lawsuits.
On more than one occasion, they've people, like rich people, have tried to set up their gulch. But the first time they ring their little bell and no one comes running, it just turns into chaos.
No, you're my servant. No, me. Exactly. I had more money than you.
Oh, it's so stupid.
I win more.
So eventually, Galt goes back to New York, takes over a radio station, and this is true, gives a 70-page monologue on individuality and the evils of giving a shit about others.
No. Are you serious?
70-page, unbroken monologue.
Of one of the characters just speaking?
John Galt, just giving his philosophy for 70 pages.
And there's hardly a period, right, Doug? It's just like a run-on sentence.
Basically,
Look, I don't know how to read, but that sounds really long.
I feel like if you can't make your point in 50 pages, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's about the length of the church and the Negro, right? And that guy made a lot of points in that book.
Yeah. Exactly. If you can't bring in your philosophy in a nice trim 25 pages.
Again, 70 pages in the context of 1,160 other pages, right? So like
I mean the other characters have to be given their equal time.
True. And that's what happens is it's just monologue after monologue. Oh my god. The book finally ends with Galt and his crew preparing to remake the world. I was not happy about reading this book. The attempts to bring this direct to the big screen have been equal parts concerted and hilarious.
They're amazing, these movies.
They're so bad. The project was greenlit and then abandoned several times until 2011, when Atlas Shrugged Part 1 was released. It raked in less than 4 million domestic and scored an astounding 11% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow.
But it starred such B-list celebrities as Taylor Schilling from Orange is the New Black and as Dagny Taggart, and Grant Bowler from True Blood as Hank Reardon. This would not be the case for Part 2, with, let's just say, lesser celebrities reprising those roles. Atlas Shrugged 2, The Strike, netted less than its predecessor, scoring just 4% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh my God.
And it's 4%? 4%, and it's just worth mentioning Part 3, Who Was John Galt, featuring an entirely new cast, the third in the series, made less than $1 million and scored a perfect 0 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh my God! This is like saying Ayn Rand found success as an extra. These are extras who found success getting speaking parts in an Ayn Rand movie.
She paid it forward.
Yeah.
This leads us to the final of the three legs of the stool for the common tool: Rand's political philosophy itself, objectivism, aka "I got mine, motherfucker."
Right.
Now, this pseudo-philosophy is all dressed up in big words and fancy pronouncements about objective reality and inductive logic, but Rand herself boiled it down nicely for us: the virtue of selfishness.
Yeah.
That is to say that acting exclusively for one's own self-interest, not sparing a thought for anybody who is not you, is the highest form of morality. Furthermore...
Wait, are you saying that that's not the case?
That is her...
I'm saying, are you claiming that somehow she's wrong?
Yeah.
Because that sounds perfect. And if you disagree with me, I'm leaving.
You're going to go to your gulch?
Yeah, I got a gulch.
Going on strike?
Uncle Dan's Gulch.
You don't want to go there.
We took a blood oath we would never speak about on the air.
Yes, indeed.
Furthermore, in this philosophy, government has no place regulating industry and no business redistributing resources from those who have much to those who have little. Sorry, that tremor you just heard was Paul Ryan's seismic orgasm.
Yeah.
Would it surprise you to know that this philosophy, quote, quote, has been rejected by nearly all of academia because it is, hold on, let me check my notes, dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Not only is it prima facie immoral, short-sighted and cruel, but we actually gave it a go in this country. The United States of America tried very hard to implement objectivism in our economic and political system, and you know what we got? The fucking housing crisis and the 2008 financial collapse.
Yeah.
Right. Lest you think I'm exaggerating.
But next time.
Yeah, right.
It's going to be good.
We just did it wrong a little bit.
It doesn't fail, it's only failed.
It just needs a tweak.
So, unless you think I'm exaggerating, let's return to our good friend Alan Greenspan. As we mentioned before, he was so close to Ayn Rand that he quite literally knew what she tasted like. And in his tenure, you're welcome.
I don't know what that means. Did they make out? Did they?
Oh, yeah.
Well, they were all fucking each other.
Yeah, they were.
That was
were?
the thing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
She had a literal cult, and
she had a cult.
This ancillary cult that has sprung up after her death is different than what she actually had in life, which was an actual fucking cult of devotees that surrounded her, and she fucked them.
Greenspan was
Greenspan was one of them. He was prominent. So
Jesus.
Right.
In his tenure as Fed
I
chairman,
really didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm actually genuinely surprised by this.
That's
And in
crazy,
fact,
isn't it?
his wife Andrea Mitchell is on, is it NBC News?
MSNBC.
MSNBC, and I think if you look at her, she looks a lot like, and I'm not being insulting, I just think she looks a lot like Ayn Rand.
He had a type.
So he's definitely got a type. Yeah.
So in his tenure as Fed chairman from 87 to 2006, he did his level best to inject Randian ideals into our economic system. He's widely considered to be one of the architects of the crisis, and in congressional testimony in 2014, after the crisis had happened, he said the following, quote, "I found a flaw in the model that I perceived is the critical functioning structure that defines how the world works." End quote. In other words, I figured out who John Galt is. Turns out he's an asshole. So,
Wow.
it's kind of easy to see why a philosophy that sounds kind of intellectual and that justifies keeping all your money and not helping others would be attractive to a certain type.
Yeah.
What's crazy, like Uncle Mark said, is that she has become a darling of the religious far right. It's crazy because aside from being a strong advocate for abortion rights, she fucking hated religion.
Yeah.
Hated it.
Yeah.
Huge swaths of The Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged, as well as much of her other writings, are pretty well thought out arguments as to why religion is poisonous and is used by evil men to control the masses.
Correct.
And not for nothing, but objectivism is about as far away from Jesus' teachings as one can get.
Yeah, it does seem like maybe I got mine. It wasn't Jesus' sort of central tenet. It was more of a peripheral idea that was floating around the edges of Jesus' philosophy.
And just before you're tempted to cast her in a more favorable light for some of those beliefs, she hated homosexuality and thought all those in need of government assistance were parasites. Ironically, she herself went on to Social Security.
Oh, no. We knew this.
Yeah, right.
This was coming.
Of course.
Yeah.
She went on to Social Security and Medicare in 1976 as she battled lung cancer after a lifetime of heavy smoking. So,
Weak ass.
does turning to big government handouts in her time of need lessen the impact of her philosophy of rugged individualism? Yes.
Yes, it does.
Abso-fucking-lutely it does.
There's no such thing as, if you're going to be a rugged individualist, get out there and fucking kill a bear with your bare hands or something, because otherwise, human beings rely on society.
That's right.
Ding dong.
So in 1982, Rand died as she had lived of heart failure and is buried, not deep enough by my estimation, in Valhalla, New York. Her work unfortunately lives on, and amongst her most famous and outspoken fans are Clarence Thomas, Paul Ryan, who required everyone who worked in his office to read Atlas Shrugged, Ron Paul and his son Rand.
Yes.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Probably, right?
For
For
absolutely.
sure, yeah.
Oh,
named
God.
his son after Ayn Rand.
Oh, my God.
Glenn Beck and even Ronald Reagan. There are many, many more.
Now let's just rewind a second. If you know who Ron Paul is, Ron Paul named his son after a Jewish atheist woman.
Yeah.
Pro-abortion woman.
Just roll that, or just swirl that around in your mouth for a minute. It just tastes amazing.
Let me just tell you, I'm not going to swirl anything about this segment around in my mouth at all.
Yeah.
That's a hard line I'm drawing.
All right, I just want to end with this. There is nothing of value in Rand's work. Nothing. There is nothing she said about religion, objective truth, economics, history, whatever, that many others have not said better. You can wrap your arms around the entirety of her career and just throw it in the trash bin. In fact, the sooner we do that, the better. So
yeah, well,
did I tell you my little anecdote about the Atlas Shrugged, where my former roommate, a guy I was living with years ago, he was dating a girl who also happened to be Russian, just randomly, but she insisted. She was all about it. We were we were just out of college. She was just insisting he read this book. I was sitting in the living room one morning, and he just comes walking out of his bedroom, holding the book, looks around the kitchen, didn't say anything to me, opens a drawer, pulls out a big serrated bread knife, and he stands over the garbage can, and it was a hardbound Atlas Shrugged. And he just took the bread knife and sawed the spine in half and threw it in the garbage and went back in his bedroom. So
an inspiring work.
yeah,
it's an inspiring work. So enjoy it. Get back to us, people, with your book reviews.
Yeah, exactly. Don't read these. If you haven't, don't. I mean, do it, but don't.
I mean, it will be it's a Herculean effort and a marathon clearly not worth running.
Exactly.
Right, and much like the labors of Hercules, totally useless.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Doug.
It's off the list.
Putting yourself through all of that. I don't know why you did, but there you have it. Let's move on.
Let's move on.